Good morning. Oh, I have to disentangle myself from all my wires and things that are going on here. There we go. Good morning again. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. I want to extend a big welcome to all our newcomers and the folks who have been around for a little while. Welcome back from the wilds of summer travel, and welcome into the heat of where we are today. Welcome to all the folks who've been here for a medium sort of time and are getting their feet wet and tickling their funny bones with whatever is going on here. And welcome to the longtime members who understand that the community, the gathered community, the faith community is something that endures because you endure. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. My name is Joan Montagnes, and I have the honor and privilege of serving you, this congregation, as minister. Also with me on the chancel is Julie Taylor, our worship associate, and Jonathan Vogtel is playing the piano today. And we have Michael Harris as our song leader. So we got it all going on. And if you haven't met Lisa Peter Angelo, our acting director of religious education, I'm going to ask her to rise and wave her hand around. Please introduce yourself to her. Yes. And if you're interested in religious education and how to maybe begin to bring our children into their own future, please talk to her. And also, any adult programs that you are interested in for your own faith development, that would be great. I hear crickets. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you here. I don't know that I have any announcements besides what is in here in your order of service. Those are all good things to pay attention to. And so, with that, I invite us into worship.
Good morning. Today's call to worship is from the novel Jayber Crow by Wendell Berry. You have been given questions to which you cannot be given answers. You will have to live them out, perhaps a little at a time. And how long is that going to take? I don't know. As long as you live, perhaps. That could be a very long time. I will tell you a further mystery, he said. It may take longer. Come, let us worship. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we light the flame of our chalice and share the words written in your order of service to light our chalice. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world.
How about now? Am I on now? Oh, goody. Okay, once upon a time, long ago, when all the animals and the trees and the rivers and the oceans and all the birds and the fish in the sea could talk and understand each other, there began an argument. It began very softly at first, soft as the breeze that whispered, "Truth is blowing like the wind through all things." And the stones that replied, truth is solid, like a mighty rock. The argument began with a rumbling from the mountains who towered above and said, no, truth is taller than tall and sees everything from above the clouds. And it began, this argument, with the fish in the sea who called back, no, truth is deep and swimming in the ocean and blue. No, shouted all the stars in the sky, truth is a twinkling in a distant, far, far awayness. And all the ants in all of the world said in chorus, no, truth is a smell and a taste and a feel, and it's very, very close. And this argument, it grew louder and louder and louder until a new voice spoke. It came from an old turtle. Now, old turtle never said very much, and old turtle never argued about truth. But this is what old turtle said. Old turtle said, you know, truth is sometimes as... Is that me? You know what? I don't need this thing right now. Old turtle said, truth is sometimes blowing through all things. Truth is solid as a rock. Truth is as tall and as deep as deep. And truth is far, far away. And truth is very, very close. Truth is powerful and gentle and above all things and within all things. Well, old turtle had never said so much before, and the animals and the beings were very, very surprised. And old turtle was not finished. Old turtle said, you know, another sort of being is going to come to the earth, and they will be strange and wonderful. They will possess many powers. Their ideas and thoughts will soar to the sky, and their feet will be planted on the earth. They will come in all sorts of shapes and sorts and sizes and colors, and they will bring many messages of peace to the world. And they will be called people. After a long time, the people did come. And the people brought their messages of peace, but after a while after that, they forgot their messages of peace for the world. And they began to hurt each other and argue, and sometimes they even killed each other, and they began to hurt the earth itself. It was a long, lonely, scary time. And then some voices started up. Soft as butterfly sneezes, the breeze said, you know, sometimes I find truth when I'm dancing amongst the stones. And the stones that said, sometimes I feel like the truth is blowing right through me. And it came rumbling down from the mountain saying, I find my truth sometimes down into the deep blue depths of the ocean. And from the fish in the sea who said, sometimes I find truth as the sun glints off the snow-capped mountaintops. And the voices came from all the stars in all the heavens who said, sometimes I feel my truth very, very close. And all the ants who said in chorus, sometimes I feel my truth is very, very far away. And the people listened, and they began to listen to each other, and they began to create together a new peace. And the earth began to heal, and Old Turtle smiled.
Good morning. Every week, our congregation takes a good portion of our Sunday morning offering and gives it away to a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month, we are supporting the good work of Journey's End Refugee Services. Journey's End provides refugees with the resources and support they need to become successful, healthy, and independent members of our community, without regard to ethnic origin or to religious creed. And they provide a variety of services. It is here that I should pause for the disclaimer that all opinions expressed are my own and not necessarily representative of any organization, either governmental or nonprofit. Thank you. We are witnessing a mass humanitarian disaster, and the situation is falling apart before our eyes. On August 15th, Taliban militants took control of the Afghan presidential palace and the Afghan government. Thousands of people who assisted the US government during our many years there face unprecedented danger now and are fleeing as they can. Doctors, professors, journalists, robotics teams fear for their lives and are fleeing. These men, women, and children are leaving home because, in Worsonshire's words, home is the mouth of a shark. Refugee resettlement agencies like Journey's End are working to ramp up operations to receive these people, set up apartments, teach folks how to grocery shop, go to the post office, the doctor, to school, and every other basic errand that we do every day, largely without even thinking. These agencies also work on job training and cultural adaptation. You can imagine how you would feel if, traumatized, you were plucked from your country and set on something as foreign as the surface of Mars. So the stakes are high and the need is great. And we can't forget that we were facing countless global migration challenges even before the fall of Afghanistan. Journey's End works to address these crises. If refugees make Buffalo great, refugee resettlement agencies like Journey's End make that possible. To donate to our Share the Plate ministry, you can use PayPal by going to our website, www.buffalouu.org, and clicking on the blue Donate button. Or you can send a check by mail to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, 695 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. You can also arrange a regular automatic deposit with your bank. Please tell us where you'd like the money to go. If yours is a gift to our Share the Plate ministry, please write "share" in the memo line, and it will be shared between Journey's End and the church operating budget. If yours is a welcome gift to our congregation, please write "Pledge 2021" on the memo line. Either way, please write UUCB on the important line, and the church will do the bookkeeping. Your generosity brings abundance to our community.
Today's reading is from Jayber Crow by Wendell Berry. In his novel, Jayber Crow, Wendell Berry reflects on the nature of a faith community in a small fictional town of Port William. He writes, "My vision of the gathered church that had come to me had been replaced by a vision of the gathered community. What I saw now was the community imperfect and irresolute, but held together by the frayed and always fraying, incomplete, and yet ever holding bonds of the various sorts of affection. There had maybe never been anybody who had not been loved by somebody, who had been loved by somebody else, and so on and on. It was a community always disappointed in itself, disappointing its members, always trying to contain its divisions and gentle its meanness, always failing, and yet always preserving a sort of will toward goodwill. I knew that in the midst of all the ignorance and error, this was a membership. It was the membership of Port William and of no other place on earth. My vision gathered the community as it never has been and never will be gathered in this world of time, for the community must always be marred by members who are indifferent to it or against it, who are nonetheless its members and maybe nonetheless essential to it. And yet I saw them all as somehow perfected beyond time, by one another's love, compassion, and forgiveness. As it is said, we may be perfected by grace.
Once upon a time, not so long ago, when all the people could speak, though they did not always understand each other, once upon a time there began an argument. It began softly at first among a few people. Then more and more people joined the debate until everybody was touched by the conflict. And the argument grew louder and louder and louder. Some people shouted. Some people panicked. Some people hid under the covers waiting for the argument to end. Some people just went out for coffee. Others, acting with their best intentions in mind, added more confusion and anger to the process. Everybody felt hurt and stuck and helpless. It was a long, lonesome, scary time. And then the poet reminded us to listen. She said, "This argument has nothing to do about being good, being right or wrong. You are good. You are blessed, and you are a blessing. This has nothing to do with being good. You do not even have to be good. You do not have to be good. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Once upon a time, in fact, right now, there is an argument. A staff member departed our church. And that leaving, that loss, that ending, that brokenness has caused despair. I know I want to know. I know this comes from me. I want to know, how could this loss have happened? Why has everything changed? I need to make sense of it all so I and all that I love can find peace. That's how I feel. And maybe you feel the same way. Sometimes when something changes, a death of sorts or a death in actuality, when you are in pain, you have questions. You want to make meaning. That's just what we do, right? We, as human thinking beings, we make meaning of our world. When there are answers to be had, we search for those answers. That's who we are. We are questioners, seekers, wonderers, scientists, philosophers, reasoners. That's what we do. We dig down to find the truth. We look for a truth that will explain the whole world around us. We look for a truth so that we can go through our lives in certainty and in peace. But you know, sometimes when there's a death of sorts or an actuality, we dig a long, long way through the answers. We question through the strata of explanation after explanation of the why and the how, and after digging through each agonizing layer, sometimes getting answers we don't like, the answers themselves just simply dry up. Reason fails us. There is nowhere left to dig. And the questions sit in our hearts like open wounds. This is also who we are. We are meaning makers. And we are a people who live within a greater mystery. You have been given questions to which you cannot be given answers. How can I reconcile two or more truths? He said this, she said that. How do I know which is the real truth? Is someone lying? Who do I trust? Does the truth lie somewhere in between? Could both truths be true at the same time? Could there be a larger truth which embraces all? That's a lot of questions. Dig down, my best beloveds. Dig down. Seek answers. Explore. Tell me about despair. Yours. And I will listen. Ask me your questions, and I will openly share my lived experience. Our conversation will last until it is done, until all the answers of the whys and the whens and the whats and the whos, till all the answers simply dry up, until there is nowhere left to dig. And the only thing left for us to do is to choose to remain in the mystery together or not. We've been given questions to which we cannot be given answers, at least not right away. We'll have to live them out, explore them, perhaps a little at a time. How long will it take? As long as we choose to live together. And that could be a long time. Yeah, it could be a long, sometimes painful time. And I'll tell you a further mystery. It might take longer. We've not finished asking our questions together, of making meaning, of thinking through our many truths together. We've not finished our wondering, our searching. We've barely begun. Oh, you can stop now if you want. You could stop now. Find easy certitude, which will end all our explorations, and easy out by, I'm right and you're wrong. That's one way to go. We could do that. We could choose an easy answer and nip our transformation in the bud. We have not finished asking our questions of one another, of making meaning, of thinking through our many truths together. We have not finished our wondering, our searching. We barely begun. Our conversation is as old as this congregation, older. And our conversation is the truest thing that is. This precious, sacred moment of tension. This precious tension is a living transformation. Our question, our real question, our question is the question of every healthy congregation. Every living gathered community. Our question is, when we are living in conflict, what shall we do with it? How shall we be together? Congregations are living, moving, breathing things that grow and change over generations. Ministers, staff members, elders, children come and go. Hymnals, buildings, traditions come and go. But what stays and always remains is the harsh and exciting life of the congregation. That's you. This gathered community remains. This gathered community, which is imperfect and variable, is held together by the frayed and ever fraying, incomplete, yet ever holding bonds of affection. When we look over the many, many years of our history, this is a community that is always disappointed itself, always disappointing its members, always trying to contain its divisions and gentle its meanness, always failing, and yet always preserving a steadfast will toward good will. This community, this is the community where we practice being human. Our gathered community, in spite of, and maybe because of, all our diverse and conflicting lived experience of truth, our gathered community embodies the transformative power of love. I know that in the midst of all our imperfections and humanness, this is a congregation of hearts and lives. It is our shared congregation, and our congregation is like none other on earth. And I now know, deep down to my bones, that our beloved community is somehow perfected beyond time by one another's love, compassion, and forgiveness. We are not perfected by one action, or by one person, or by one event. We are not perfected by individualism. We are perfected by the larger love of which we are a part. Our congregation is perfected by the grace of our undying gathering. Once upon a time, not long ago, in fact, right now, in a congregation very, very close, there is an argument. May we hold this sacred moment of tension with care, understanding that our shared conflict is not a bad thing, although it might feel very bad. May we understand that our struggles can open us to greater exploration, that even in this time of discord, the world offers itself to our imagination. And may we understand that our larger question is, now that we are in conflict, what shall we do with ourselves as a gathered community? Let's join in singing.
We'll be singing number 1012. It should already be in your program, and we'll just be doing it as written.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly. Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
let's join our hearts and minds in a quiet moment of prayer, reflection, and meditation. This moment of transition, torn, confused, hurt, enraged, and in deep pain. This moment filled with doubt, worry, and suspicion. Spirit of life and love, be with us now in this moment. Show us a way to listen to one another with compassion. Show us a way to speak the truths of our hearts. Show us a way toward healing our brokenness together. Help us listen to the better angels of our nature as we struggle through this day. And give us hope for the days to come. May our community find the desire to engage in and work through discord, to hold tension as a sacred beginning of transformation. And dear Spirit of life and love, when the way is not clear and the path is very frightening, remind us that deep down there is another truth. Remind us that we are not alone. We are never alone. Remind us that the hands of friends and lovers, the wider embrace of the beloved community are your hands, the hands of life and love, your embrace gently holding us, keeping us from collapse, keeping us safe, loving us into further life. So we and generations yet to come will continue to gather in faith, to inspire one another, and to transform ourselves and the world. Today, we especially hold in our hearts Lindsay Brandon Hunter, who is working through a breakthrough case of COVID, and we thank Julie for stepping in to be worship associate today. We hold in our hearts Carol Condon, whose surgery of last week was postponed, and her operation is now scheduled for Wednesday. May it go smoothly, and may her recovery be speedy, uneventful, and successful. We also hold Donna Sense, our administrator for finance, and her family in our hearts. Donna's grandson was in a car accident. He's recovering at home, and the family asks for our prayers as he heals. We hold in our hearts the family and friends of Carl Granger. We celebrated Carl's life here yesterday in a memorial service. And we pray for the people of Afghanistan as they struggle through conflict and transition of unimaginable proportion, and the people of Haiti as they recover from natural and social disasters. And now let us welcome into our sanctuary the names of all our loved ones suffering in sorrow and celebrating in joy, each name a breath and each breath a prayer. The breath of nature is upon us. The spirit of life is within us. The community of love is among us. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say, Amen. Let us continue our meditation in song, a meditation on breathing, also printed in your order of service.
Okay, you see 3 lines on this hymn, and I'm only one person, so we got a little roadmap here. You in the congregation are going to be the drone, the bottom line. We'll be singing, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Please remain standing as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and recite the words as written in your order of service. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
The great Universalist preacher, Hosea Ballou, reminded us, if we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not agree in love, no other agreement can do us any good. May we lean into compassion, affection, and the bonds of peace together. Remember, you are blessed. Remember, you are a blessing. And above all else, remember, you are not alone. You are never alone. So be it. Blessed be, and let the church say, Amen.